looking at using the hole tool, which is just up here. Now, you'd use the hole tool instead of the circle tool when you're trying to add holes for specific screws or bolts, as an example. Okay, so you want proper tolerancing, proper clearance, and different setup for your holes. Now, there's different types, as you can see. There's a simple, there's a counterbore and a countersink, which we'll go through shortly. But the first thing we need to do is sketch some points to place these holes. So I'm going to come back out of here. I'm going to click on here. I'm going to add my sketch to this plane using these points. So I'm going to go normal 2 to make it a bit easier for me. I could just follow this dotted line down. I'm going to add one here, and one here, just to show you some different constraints. So we can then take this one and this point here, and we can make that vertical. Sorry, not vertical. What am I saying? I want it to be horizontal, like so, because of our orientation. If we think about it, this is how we'd technically be looking at it, like so. I can then get these ones all lined up here, horizontal as well. I can take this one and I can make it coincident, so they're fitted together. And then for these ones over here, I'm probably just wanting to add a dimension from maybe the midpoint. So let's say this one is going to be 15 millimeters, and this is also going to be 15, so it is nice and symmetrical. There's a few different ways you could have done this, but you know, that will do the job for now. So I can then come back out of here, and I can basically go up to my hole tool, just there, click on it, and we're going to start with a simple hole. So what we want is to choose where we're going to place it. So it's going to be on that point there. We want it to be, it could be anything, okay? The drilled hole is obviously, it's going to be very, very tight. So if you drill a 3mm hole, you're going to get 3 millimeters. A clearance hole, there's going to be some tolerance there. So if you drill a 3mm hole, you're actually going to get, say, a 3.2mm hole. If you drill a tapped hole, it's going to have a thread on it. And if you have a PEM hole, it's basically going to be something that is kind of a self-joining hole in terms of what goes into it, joins to it automatically. That's not very well explained, but you can have a little Google to make a bit more sense of that. Sorry, yeah, so that's all good. In terms of the size, we want it to be M3, so that's a 3mm hole for us. Normal fit, close fit, loose fit. Obviously, that is exactly as it says. If it's close, it's going to be 0 tolerance. Normal, small tolerance. Loose, a much larger tolerance. So normal, 3.4. Close, should update, 3.2. Loose will be 3.6. Okay, so nice and straightforward. We'll keep it at 3.4. And you can change the tolerance and the precision down here. Start plane, so where we want it to start from. You can change this, but for us, it's quite straightforward to have it from the plane, which is going to be this top section. And there you can see our hole is going through all from the top. Very, very straightforward. Okay, if you wanted to, you could have a blind, so a distance. So say you know that you have a screw or a bolt that is M3 by 6mm or M3 by 10mm. That will change how far down it goes. And if you want to get really technical, you can change the type. So if it was a bolt, it's going to be a flat base. If it's a screw, it's going to be probably 135-degree base, etc. Okay, so that is your simple one. For our counterbore, we're going to go back into our hole. We're going to click on counterbore, and we're going to do exactly the same thing. We're going to unhide this sketch for our points. Click on that point there, and we now know that this is going to be same sort of setup. We're going to go with M3. It's going to be clearance. It's going to be normal, except it will change when we actually add in our parts. So what you think is happening there is that's a really weird size. That's not 3.4mm if this was 3.4mm. What's actually happened is we've got this depth here. So if I take this to 1, the counterbore, as you can see from this diagram here, it has a wider top bit followed by the bolt that is narrow. Okay, and that allows the top part of the bolt to sit flush to your workpiece. So if I made it 2, if you imagine the bolt was pushing through, the top of the head will sit nice and flush into the work like so. And that's again the distance, 10mm, the diameter of the top, 6.5, and your angle, we can go flat again, depending on what we want to do. So that is the counterbore. And then finally, we've got our countersink hole. Okay, so exactly the same thing, the position, select a place where we want the countersink to go. It's going to be there. Clearance is fine. Again, we can play with those depending on what you're doing. Start hole position is going to be this plane like so. And what you'll notice, this has an angle. Okay, so a wood screw will have a countersunk, the opposite of the countersunk, it will have the shape that's kind of at an angle. So when you drive the drill and the screw in, it basically pushes into the wood to make it flush. You can obviously use a countersink tool to make this so you don't split the wood if you're doing really delicate things. Again, you can change all of this if you so wish, but that is a basic setup for different holes depending on what you are going to be doing.